The early church, it's not that they went for 10 days and the heavens opened. It was that they were praying. How were they praying? They were praying the kind of prayer that Bible says Peter was locked up and the church prayed without ceasing. When Peter came out from the prison, it was night time and they were still praying. It was day and night prayers without ceasing. That's the type of prayer the early church used to pray, non-stop prayer. And they were praying that prayer day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8, day 9. It was on the 10th day the heavens opened, the glory came down. If the glory did not come on the 10th day, they would have continued day 11, day 12, day 13. They were not setting aside a specific time. Their job was to pray until. There is nothing like Daniel 21-day fast. Daniel was not on a 21-day fast. Daniel was on a prayer until. It just happens to be on the 21st day Gabriel came down. If Gabriel did not come on the 21st day, Daniel would have gone 22, 23, 24. Your duty and my duty is to pray until. And that was how the early church prayed. They prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed until the heavens opened, the glory came down. They were endued. They so carried that shadow of Peter. No laying on of hands, no prayers, only shadow. Was healing sick, casting out devils, raising the dead. Hi! Oh my God. Oh my God. They hit a dimension that shook the whole of Jerusalem and the whole of that generation. The whole of that generation, within 100 years, the move of God's power and presence saturated and entered every part of the then known world. Only 120 men and women. After that generation died, that was about 100 years or 150 years after that first generation, who were ready to pay the price to tarry until. God couldn't find another group of people again. Not that church was not on, not that programs were not going, fellowship, ministry, everything was going, but God could not find again another set of people who were ready to drop programs and lock themselves and tarry until the heavens open. And because of that, the heavens closed and the glory was lifted, and the church and the whole world entered into what is called the Dark Ages. And for 1,500 years, heaven was looking and waiting for another set of people who will meet the condition and criteria to tarry until. And for 1,500 years there was no man. And so for 1,500 years darkness overthrew the whole world, and the papacy took full control until God found another man who discovered what it takes to bring heaven down, who determined to set his heart that whatever is the price to bring God down, I will pay that price. His name was John Wesley. And John Wesley gathered a group, a small pocket of men around him, 5 of them. John Wesley, Charles Wesley, George Whitefield, Francis Asbury, John Fletcher. 5 men who entered a covenant together to pray and pray and pray and pray and pray until their agreement was every week 2 days fasting, Wednesday and Friday, 6 to 6. Every morning between 5 and 8 a.m. we will cover 3 hours of prayer. Sir, they were students in Oxford University. And even though they were students in university, Ever before they go to any lecture, they have covered 3 hours of non-stop prayer for revival, for the heavens to open. They also agreed that every Friday night they will gather for an all-night tarry night from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. to pray down the glory of God. 5 men. And that prayer started. And they continued 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Heaven was very silent. 1 year, 6 months, heaven was silent. 2 years, heaven is silent. But they have become 70. 3 hours prayer every morning. 2 days fasting every week. Tarry nights every Friday. The prayer is on until. And after 2 years, they were in a tarry night in London, 70 Fletcher Road. When what happened in Pentecost happened there, the heavens of heavens opened. The glory came down. No man could stand. All 70 were slain under the power. In fact, they couldn't get up for over 1 hour. By the time they stood up, it was no more the men who came for prayer that left that house. It was men who were carrying the cupboard. They entered the church on Sunday morning. They were Anglicans. And as the 70 young men, university undergraduates, entered inside the church, all the congregates were somersaulting from their chairs. Hey! What has never happened before? A power they have never seen before has entered church. And the priest said, this is a strange spirit. This is demonic spirits. And suspended John Wesley as the leader of the group and excommunicated him. And seeing his father was a pastor and has a graveyard outside of the church, he stood on the grave and said, you have excommunicated me from the church. You can't excommunicate me from the grave of my father. And he began to preach. Under that power, he preached until a crowd of 20 became 50, which became 100, which became 200, which became 500, which became 1,000, which became 2,000. Screaming, crying, being slain by the power. And the priest came and said, I suspended you from preaching in the church. Now you have gathered a crowd bigger than my church times 5. How do you do it? I set myself on fire, and the people came to watch me burn.